Hi everybody, it's Sunday, July 20th, 2008. Thanks for stopping by. I've got a little media news for you today. I still haven't heard anything about the huge rally that we had at the Capitol on July 12th for Ron Paul, which isn't surprising, but I have been paying attention to the news a little bit lately and reading the newspapers, simply because I was in a hotel room in Houston with nothing else to do but watch the baby and watch the cable news, read the newspapers, and it was pretty surprising to me how terrible the news was, how much of it was absolute nonsense, how much of it was lies, how much of it was just stuff that didn't matter at all whatsoever. But some of it is actually kind of enlightening. For instance, here's the USA Today, and you might notice that the Joker figures prominently at the top of the paper, and below that the news about the economy, which is in the process of collapsing. You can see all the things going down. All the good things are going down, all the bad things are going up. And there's no sign of any of this stopping anytime soon. Now, I've taken the liberty of highlighting a few things here. The economy is already down 23% from October. Wholesale prices are rising at their fastest rate since Ronald Reagan's first year. Okay. This is no ordinary economic crisis. Okay, inside, they continue. After cutting interest rates aggressively for nearly a year, the Fed voted June 25th to hold its benchmark lending rate at 2%. So the Fed has been trying to deal with this problem for almost a year, and the only thing they've done is make it worse. The annual growth rate that the Fed forecasts for our economy is 1% to 1.6%, which is not very good. They're calling it a self-reinforcing recession. The better than expected performance, which this is better than they expected. They expected the economy to be even worse shape, apparently. But the better than expected performance is due to $91 billion in tax rebates. And they don't mention it here, but the tax rebates were borrowed from China and other countries. Okay, the forecasters at investment bank Morgan Stanley expect the economy to shrink for 6 months. They're calling it deleveraging, or a fancy way of saying debt repayment. Meanwhile, get used to parts of the American patrimony being sold off to foreign investors. This is something that a lot of people have predicted, and I also believed was going to happen. We are giving other countries Federal Reserve notes, which are basically IOUs, saying we owe them $1. And guess what? We're giving them our businesses, we're giving them our property. For instance, Anheuser-Busch is being sold to a company in Belgium, and the Chrysler building went to an investment fund in Abu Dhabi. The Chrysler building, Abu Dhabi. Budweiser, a Belgian beer. Okay, and it's going to continue. This is a crisis at the core of the global capitalist system, they say. Down further, they talk about Nancy Pelosi, the Democrat from California, is proposing that the Democrats may seek more tax rebates. So they're going to do the same thing that President Bush did, and Bernanke said he's not ready to endorse it. Okay, one thing is clear. Government involvement in the financial system is expanding in ways that even the most fervent socialist could only have imagined 1 year ago. The Federal Reserve has stretched its legal mandate. So what they're basically saying here is that due to this financial crisis, the United States is becoming a socialist country and will become much more of a socialist country because the Federal Reserve and the government is going to, now the Federal Reserve is not the government, they're not a government agency, but the Federal Reserve and the government are going to keep tightening their control of the market and keep regulating things, keep bailing out people and creating more money out of thin air, and they're going to gain control of our market even more than they already have, which is quite a great deal. And then down further, they talked to President Bush. President Bush declared himself an optimist, not an economist. Well, there's a big surprise for you. Perhaps President Bush should talk to Ron Paul. Ron Paul is not an optimist, he is an economist. He might not have a diploma sitting on his wall, but he is widely recognized by all of the leading economists as being a very astute economist. So President Bush, go talk to Ron Paul. He is an economist. Maybe you can wish and think that things are going to get better, and he can make them better. Candidates want bigger force in Afghanistan. Now, let me show you something for all you people out there who believe in the change of Obama and think that Obama is change you can believe in. Well, here is your change. Candidates want bigger force in Afghanistan. Now, if you look at their foreign agendas, they're almost identical. Of course, Obama wants to get the United States out of Iraq by the summer of 2010 if, and this is a big if it is prudent to do so. Okay, which is absolutely no different from Bush. Except Bush is not setting any timelines. Bush is saying we'll get out when it's prudent. Obama's saying we'll get out in 2 years if it's prudent. Okay, so there's your change. And as far as Afghanistan, they're pretty much in agreement. They both want to increase the forces in Afghanistan and continue on the same tack. And why we're in Afghanistan again, maybe someone can explain that to me. Is it to make sure that the poppies stay in production, that the global heroin trade continues? Because that's what we've done. If you look at what we've really done in Afghanistan, basically we got the heroin flowing again, and that's about all we've done. So if you want to shoot up some heroin, yeah, maybe you should support the war in Afghanistan. Otherwise, I don't know why you would do it. First video of Gitmo interrogation released. Now this is the child here that they're interrogating. He's 16 years old, I believe. He was detained in 2002 at the age of 15. Okay, now he's accused of murder. You know, so he's a 15-year-old. You want to accuse him of murder and try him as an adult, that's great. Give him a trial. Okay, not a military trial with secret evidence and all this other crap. Give him a real trial and find out if he's really guilty, and if he's not, let him go. They're not going to do that. They're going to give him a military trial, and if he's acquitted, they're going to keep him in Guantanamo. One other thing I want to mention, in USA Today, I saw an article where they said that the biggest issue on people's minds was race relations. And if Obama is elected, it will help race relations. If Obama isn't elected, it will damage race relations, okay? Think about that. Is that the top issue on your mind? Are you sitting around thinking, boy, I hope the white people and the black people and the Hispanic people can get along better? Is that what you're worried about right now? Now, I'm not saying it's not something you should worry about, but is that the top issue on your mind? Because that's what USA Today just told you. I think they're lying. I think the biggest issue on your mind right now is Iraq. And right close to it is the collapsing economy, which includes your job and your house and your car and the food on your table. I think that's a little bit more important to you than whether the black people and the white people love each other as much as they should. That's the news for today. Thanks for watching.